sissies who are
No,
dishonest.
that's absolutely true.
Nevertheless, it's quite true that many people do feel very strongly about their faith and very offended if you insult it. We've come to expect never to be offended. What you say is offensive to me. I'm offended by some things. I'm offended by chewing gum. I'm offended by backwards pointing baseball hats. But I don't try to get a version of the blasphemy law passed to prevent people chewing gum or reversing their cap. So what if I'm offended? So what if my feelings are hurt? Does that give me the right to prevent others from expressing their opinions?
In this dispute, what the offensive person has actually said is seldom very important. It is what the offended person believes him to have said that counts. And this is the process into which we are rapidly entering as a society. We're moving towards a strained dictatorship of rage, where any approved group or any approved person's fury is sufficient to trigger calls for the denial of platforms, for the ostracism of one kind or another of that person, in effect, for the silencing of those people and the suppression of their opinions. This is a sinister development. The very idea that it should be possible to claim to have been personally offended by the expression of opinion is a dangerous absurdity and a danger to a free society. We now have many categories of people, and pinko-grey male middle-class heterosexuals are not among them, who are entitled by some system which is never quite clear to be offended or insulted by any disagreement with their views and to follow their offence and insult by suppressing that view and by trying, with a great deal of self-righteousness, to prevent it from being expressed. By, for instance, as happened in this city quite recently, preventing the holding of meetings at which opinions with which they disagree were going to be expressed by people of whom they disapproved. The person who is disapproved of is then classified with a pathology. So he is described as suffering from some sort of phobia. He is then cast into the outer darkness amid wailing and gnashing of teeth, never again permitted to speak in this or that place, and driven increasingly out of public life. This is straightforwardly censorship. In the hands of an unpleasant, semi-literate and ill-educated mob, it is very, very disagreeable to watch. In the hands of supposedly educated students, it is alarming and absurd. But in the hands of the state, which increasingly also resorts to the idea that beliefs described by itself as extremism or indeed as glorifying terrorism can be the subject of legal sanction, it is terrifying. And it is that terror that I wish to draw to your attention. This idea that any opinion legitimately expressed can be dismissed on the grounds that it is an offence or an insult to an individual is the foundation of a new and terrifying censorship. And censorship is the foundation of tyranny. And if you don't want censorship or tyranny, then you must support this motion.